What's up guys, Quinn here. Welcome back to another video. So I'm in my classroom after winter break and some additional snow days after winter break, which means I have not been in my classroom for about a month now. So this is always a nerve-wracking time of year for me, but the initial returns are positive. No fatalities, which is great. However, the tanks are not looking very good and they're in pretty poor condition. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you each tank one by one and kind of show their current condition. Then we're gonna get to work, and then I'm gonna show you the before and after. You definitely wanna stay tuned for that. So let's dive right in. All right, so here is the state of the classroom after our extended winter break. You can see we have some additional tanks that you have not seen yet. Overall, the tanks don't look in terrible shape. You can see the water levels are pretty low. The wave maker power head is kind of breaching the top there. But ultimately, with any long break that I'm used to, the ultimate goal is just no fatalities, and that is the way it looks. So we'll just kind of go through each tank one by one, starting off with the 90-gallon yellow jacket tank. As you can see, there's considerable algae growth on the glass and even on the substrate and decor. That was a problem even before break. I am using this very powerful brand new AI Prime blade. It's phenomenal. It makes my tank look super cool, but I'm also still adjusting the light settings to where it's kind of hitting the perfect medium of showing off my tank when I want to show it off, but also not growing too much algae. So this one I'm gonna have to clean up considerably. But it was kind of needing this before break anyway. I'm sure the yellow jacket will appreciate that. Next up, we have the 75-gallon Mbuna tank. It's actually not looking too bad. Obviously the water level is a little low, but I did keep the white light off. I have two Aqua Sky flute balls on here. One just doing blue light, and the other a mix of white and blue. So I actually kept this one off over break to kind of lessen the algae growth, and I think that was a great call. So this one won't be too much. I'll have to do a water change obviously and clean a few things, but overall not too bad. You can see the little baby sticking out right there. Next up we have the OG 75-gallon. So this tank is actually currently empty and is definitely in need for an overhaul. You can see that the back panel kind of fell in there. The water level is super low. So this tank is actually gonna be the first one that I have a major rehab for, and we're gonna get a whole fresh new stocking list, and I'm really excited for the future of what this one looks. But first I obviously need to clean this up and get it ready. Which brings me to my biggest tank, which is the 110-gallon custom aquarium. This tank is actually looking pretty dang clean. I gave this tank a considerable cleaning just before break, and I did lower the light settings over break so we weren't getting that algae growth. I was really struggling on getting some algae growth on the sand, which is super annoying. So lowering the white light over break seemed to have really helped. Fish seem to be doing well. There is some pretty significant aggression in this tank. There's Jack Jr., that fire mouth back there. Actually the fins are looking a little better than the 4 silver dollars. So I'll still do a water change on this, clean up anything that needs to be cleaned up, but this one doesn't seem to be like it will be too much work. Now we have the back wall, which is very much a work in progress. We have one of my older tanks, the 29-gallon here, with just some kind of leftover community fish. Obviously this tank is not looking good, so I'm gonna have to do some deep cleaning on this. Definitely get that filter clean back there. But overall these fish are actually doing pretty good. I do have some Amano shrimp in here as well, that you can see on the driftwood. So this is more of a temporary tank that I hope to rehab or rehome this tank and get a new setup here. I don't have the footprint available on this lab table to fit one of the bigger tanks. So I think kind of the biggest one I could do here is maybe a 40 breeder. So trying to think of ideas of what to do on this spot. Next up, we have one of the exciting developments of my classroom, and that is the 90-gallon aquarium that I just resealed with the silicone. The silicone has totally held up for over 2 or 3 months here, so that's a really exciting development. You might ask, why is it still pretty much empty? Well, that would be because I'm waiting on an aqua decor background to ultimately set this tank up. I have some really exciting ideas, and I'm thinking I'm a couple weeks away from getting this thing officially set up. So you might notice I do have actually one fish in here. This is a yellow lab from my Mbuna tank. You can see though, it does seem to have sunken belly and some internal parasites. It has the long stringy white poop. So I figured I would isolate him and get him away from the rest of the fish and give him a chance to possibly recover with some dosing of medicine. Unfortunately, it's not looking like that. So we'll see what ultimately I do with him. But I will do a water change on this, get it ready for the aqua decor background that's coming in a few weeks. And I'm really excited for this tank, so stay tuned. And lastly, we have the empty 55-gallon. So if you recall, this tank used to have Felix the flower horn. I eventually rehomed him, just ready to do a fresh set of new ideas for this tank. I did turn the filter off because the water level is getting too low. Just need to fill it back up, just keep it running, so we're ready to add some new fish and a new setup. All right, so I got 2 pythons running, doing simultaneous water changes on the 75 gallons. Got pythons crossing all over the room, but we're getting started. All right, so you can see got pretty considerable algae growth on the substrate and decor. So I'm gonna have to pull all that out, shuffle it up as I'm doing the water change and get this tank looking much better.
Eternity later.
All right, so as you can see, this tank has had a major rehab. I was able to clean off all of the substrate here through my swirling technique with the bucket, as you saw earlier. I was able to scrub off some of this big driftwood piece of some of that thick algae growth that I had. And overall, this tank just looks night and day better and could not be happier with it. The yellow jacket is probably the best looking fish that I own. You can see those big teeth there. Absolutely love this guy and love this tank. So I'm absolutely loving this Mbuna tank. Just the mix of the yellow labs, the Johanni, and the acai are just such a great combination. You can see this Johanni right here is really, really colored up. It is definitely the alpha of the tank, and there's a reason why. It is supporting some young Johanni. So it's hard to get an accurate count of how many babies are actually in this tank because they are hiding underneath the rocks. They've burrowed underneath here, but I would say at least 3 are still in here. But overall, I love this tank just because it's a nice contrast to my Central and South American tanks with tons of activity and vibrant colors. So it's been really rewarding having this. And like I said earlier, the two aqua skies with the mix of white and blue, I love that combination with the Mbuna. So highly recommend that. The empty 75 gallon here, I got it cleaned up. It's looking much better here. So this is the original tank that I had. So this tank is officially ready to get some new stocking. So I can't wait to do that. Still definitely stay tuned. You don't want to miss that. So now we got the 110 gallon custom aquarium. This thing is looking spotless. Substrate looking much better. Cleaned off some of the rocks in here. Guys are kind of hiding back here. Got the mouth brooding severum there. He's gotten pretty big. Got the 4 silver dollars. Got the firemouth back there with the Jack Dempsey. The firemouth has been picked on a little bit. You can see some nip fins with the trail fins. But overall, this is a pretty aggressive tank. The Severum and the Jack Dempsey are typically going at it pretty good, but overall, they seem all pretty healthy. All right, so now the 29 gallon. You can see this tank is way cleaner than it was. Did not take too much work. So the Odessa barbs and the Harlequin rasporas and a few neon tetras along with some Amano shrimp. See, much happier. The Amano shrimp have made this driftwood piece super clean. They love to eat the algae on it. So as I said, this tank is kind of just a temporary holding tank. Not sure what to do with this exact footprint, but if you have any ideas, definitely leave those in the comment section. And now we have the two pretty much empty aquariums, the 90 gallon and the 55 gallon. Didn't have to do too much cleaning here, just kind of had to top off the water levels. So I look at these, both these are basically blank canvases, and I cannot wait to get these setups going and be absolute showstopper show tanks. I'll be setting up the 90 gallon in a few weeks, and it's gonna be kind of like my dream aquarium. So I cannot wait to do that. And then I already have plans for the 55 gallon that it's gonna be really cool, and I can't wait to show off the stocking options that I have planned. All right, guys, so that does it for today's video. I'm excited to spend more consistent time in my classroom moving forward and to set up those 3 empty aquariums. You definitely want to stay tuned. The classroom will look totally different in a few weeks. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.